Hey, I got Michael.
Transmission.
Beginning transmission. Are we there yet?
We have arrived.
Hello.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Popping out of chat right there.
I can't find it. There it is.
You should have kept going with that, Aaron. Welcome, ladies
Yeah,
and
keep
gentlemen,
going.
on
Welcome.
tonight's show.
On tonight's show, we're going to talk about several Power Stroke items, including but not limited to. You got problems? Bring it, because we're going to talk Diag tonight. Anybody that's got a problem, we want to know what it is. We're going to be talking about some braking procedures for the first 1,000 miles. Do you guys even do that kind of stuff? A lot of people say I want to get the shavings out of the oil. Is it a myth? We're going to talk about it. Zeekster, Porch Monkey, what up? Soodad, BP. Ooh, somebody's out of their bumper to bumper. BP coming soon. Actually, yours is probably tomorrow. Yeah, Chris, what up, everybody? So, to start off, we want to welcome Ford Boss. He's home from the hospital. He is still recovering from pneumonia and is just on some meds. So we're gonna try not to make him laugh so he gets rumbled. But I have a 6.0. It's a problem in itself. Well, you're in the right spot. 6.0s are my second favorite. And the truck that you guys saw, which I actually made a video on, it wound up being quite nice. The one that blew the glow plug out, they just got a 2019 King Ranch, 40,000 miles on it, original owner, and she is totally stoked. So totally went warp speed from her 07 and was just doing a little educating with them about using the diesel exhaust fluid and turning on OCR and you know how that all functions, because she's never had a DPF now or all this after treatment. So King Ranch Duty quite is going to be quite a difference. Well, look at Mrs. DS. Oh, look at that.
Wait.
Got the whole gang.
Oh,
Look at Sissy.
this is a rarity. Where we
Look
at?
at Sissy.
That thing, right? Wow, look at that 50 truck back there.
Yeah, look at that truck. Big
Then
boy
you-
truck.
Why is the truck right there?
He's just
truck.
floating.
They
He's
have
just
it-
floating.
if I ever
What's a
want-
good price for upper oil pan leak? 2017. Last guy said he's pulling the motor. I said no, 6,500. That seems a little steep. I just did an upper oil pan today. I can't remember what the ticket would be or what it was on this one. But for a regular truck, I would probably say, between 2,500 and maybe $3,000, depending on, if it's just going to be upper oil pan. I like this one I pulled out, needed a rear crank seal. And then he's like, well, I want an oil cooler. So then put an oil cooler on it. Then he needs, this hose and the O-rings, and it just, winds up being just a cluster mess of parts that you need to replace. So it depends. Evening, gents.
That's what happened to me.
What happened to you?
So I can do warranty stuff now. They denied my warranty for my fuel pump. Or my
Why?
high pressure fuel pump. Rust.
Oh, did you have to send in pictures?
I had to send in pictures.
Oh,
$9,800 in parts I had to spend.
Hold up. Why don't you just send in different pictures?
that's not how that works.
It doesn't work that way,
I know.
buddy.
No matter what. No
Because I
matter
have to
what,
send it back in.
when he sends it back in, they're gonna see it.
Here's an interesting one. This guy says, I'll never buy a cab chassis truck again. Slow as nails. I have a 19 550 6.7 in a cab smells like ammonia after sitting overnight, and it's horrible. DEF fluid doesn't seem to be leaking. It smells like ammonia in the cab.
Quit toting
Have
your
a cat.
around. Quit toting your cat around in it.
I was gonna say, you have a cat?
Are you sure you didn't spill any DEF in the truck? Hazel, lay down. Lay down, Hazel. Lay down. OTB. Jason Kelly. 1167 4-wheel drive 215 XXX. I don't know what that means, but forewarning, gentlemen. Second to third shift after start misses, but not after the first time. Got new solenoids. What? Did you clear the adaptive learn strategies? Might want to try clearing cam. Maybe take it for a drive after that. I mean, I don't know if you had did that previously, but you can with foreskin. Clifford the big red dog. Yes, only one Clifford the big red dog. Yes, safety Crocs 4x4 all the time. Is there a good way to access the front crank hub to weld it without removing trans and upper oil pan? No, you're gonna take the front cover off. And it sucks because, I mean, you could probably get the front cover off without taking the upper pan off, but it's all silicone and you can't, and the oil pump gear, you can't like, and put it down on there. It's, if you're going to do it right, you're either going to have to pull the engine or you're going to have to pull the trans and then do, remove the upper oil pan and then the, yeah, you know what you got to do. What am I talking about?
Didn't Chris figure out a way to do the upper oil pan without removing the trans?
He's a tech, Chris.
Certain years.
That Chris.
Gotta talk to him.
It ain't gonna be on the 20 or newer.
I've been told otherwise. I have some pretty good information to believe these guys aren't bullshitting me.
So I got 2 of them I got to do. One of them's an 8.
I just did a 16 today, and it was a salt truck. This was the worst upper oil pan that I've ever had to do. I had to pound some twist sockets onto the ones that I could get to, and then you all know the bolts that are around the K member that you can't get to. So I remember I had one guy come up from Ohio and he had me do his 14 pickup, clean truck. And for whatever reason, my Wobble 10 just wound up stripping it and I could not get it. It was really hard. I could not get it out. And I wound up having to air hammer just the shoulder of the bolt, boom, and it rotated. Oh my gosh. I just fingered it, got it out. So I remembered that the last time I had to air hammer the shoulders of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the rest I could get to. Man, it was awful. And then the lower pan, I mean, forget that. All the heads, it was, you weren't putting anything on it. I wasn't even going to waste my time putting twist sockets on it. So got it done. I did obviously remove the trans, and I'm glad I did because the crank seal was leaking. So I had to do that. You can't really tell if the crank seal is leaking without really removing the trans, because if you're doing the upper oil pan, it's all snotty. Well, yeah, that oil could be coming from the upper oil pan, but if you don't pull the trans, then you'd never see if the crank seal was all snotty, and it definitely needed to be replaced. So I was glad to have got it all cleaned up. And because it was so rusted, I was able to put everything back together, and I had to put a water pump on it, and he had a front hydro pump on the engine. So I had the whole front radiator and all that garbage off. So I undercoated the upper oil or the trans pan and the lower pan with rubberized undercoating just to give it a little more barrier between, the salt, because it was a rusty truck, rusty as Fuck. Good running truck though, I'll tell you that. Ran great. New turbo, new water pump, new belts, new upper oil pan, lower oil pan. Felt good about it. Was happy. I was proud of it. Looked good. Stinky battery. No stinky battery. No stinky battery. The I Do Car guy's here. He slipped right on in.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bump it bump bum bum. 1,000-mile break-in. Now DS
okay?
DS is trying to, I think, talk some stuff up, but he's a new owner of a 23 F450, and I think he has been sitting on the pot reading his owner's manual, which I'm very proud of him for. Hope everything was coming out good. But one of the things he wants to talk about is, do I change my oil at 1,000 miles and get that first oil change, that break-in oil out? Or does he wait till 5,000 miles, or when his intelligent oil life monitor decides that it's going to display engine oil change due? What are you going to do, DS?
I will do whatever we come up with tonight. Not exactly sure. So
I already answered your question. You just gotta look in the chat.
well,
We're hoping that
in
you
the
can.
past, I always did 1,000 miles. I don't know if it's in the manual or not, but the 7.3 that I just got, the first oil change I did with the oil life monitor, and it was like 5,000 miles.
Okay.
But I
Cody
didn't do
says-
a 1,000-mile break-in oil change.
Cody
1,000.
says, page 416, 1,000 miles, change the oil.
Okay, is that all? Is that the diesels or is that gas and diesel?
Gas engines, every gas engine that I've ever seen or looked in the manual, it has said at 1,000 miles to change the oil. But
Okay.
that's every one that I've seen. I can't speak for every single one, but at 1,000 miles is what I tell everybody anyway. Change the oil and then go to regular, normal oil change intervals.
Okay.
Says 1,000 miles, avoid driving at high speed, heavy braking, aggressive shifting, and using your vehicle to tow during this time. Your vehicle may exhibit some unusual driving characteristics.
Only thing I haven't towed anything. I'm at 500 miles, but I broke every other rule. Every other one I broke. Speeding.
Warranty immediately voided. You just said it on the internet.
So that's good. And whenever Ford wants to come back and deny your business claim, they'll come back to this video and they'll say, "Hey, la vista. No coverage, no
So what
coverage
about
found."
these vehicles that go right to work, like DTE trucks or whatever, the boom
Yeah.
trucks?
Yeah, I mean they have. Is yours a commercial contract, or do you have a regular regular owner contract?
Regular owner.
Yeah, so maybe there might be some different protection there, but nobody's really gonna know or say anything anyway, unless they really wanted to push that. What dealer's really gonna say, "Oh, he didn't come in at 1,000 miles. We gotta try to revoke this guy's warranty," because
Yeah.
they're not gonna do that.
I've
The only
never-
reason we bring it up is because we think it's important for you guys to know, just in case there is some residual building debris or something. Not every single engine that's built is perfect. I find Mercedes engines that have 10, 15, 20,000 miles that are hand built, the AMG, like the builder's stamp and signature on it, when I'm pulling them apart, that there are flaws there. And you
Yeah,
would think
because
that
people
those-
built them.
Yeah, but even like factory related, there are machines that are going through machining and blowing this stuff out and mating everything. People are using hydraulic and electronic machines to mate everything together and torque it all and stuff. So there's debris that's left in there. Everything's not perfect. So a 1,000-mile interval is nice to just do a quick change, get anything that may be residual in there out. Let's get some excuse me, fresh oil in and go on about your regular your oil cycle, whatever that is. Severe duty for most of us.
Rich, were you able to get the S550 Mercedes done for that lady?
They got it done yesterday.
Guy just was asking here.
At Miss Helen Johnson, got the new sensors put in, got the new CV axle and stuff installed. It was a bigger job than what we had seen. We were trying to help this old lady out. She's on SSI, and the actual axle was rusted into the hub assembly. So we were trying not to damage anything further. So we ended up, they did get it all out, and they called her today to come pick it up. She didn't answer the phone. Her bill's totally taken care of. All my subscribers helped foot the bill for this old lady.
Oh, that's
And,
cool.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
So what we did was we started a fund for customers that are really in need, and we truly only want to use that fund for people that are really in need. And this old lady had got into a car accident, got hit by a semi, and her vehicle was pushed into 5 other vehicles and totaled her little Toyota Camry out. Well, her husband that is since deceased left that nice car for her. So it wasn't like she chose to go buy a S550 and put herself in a bad spot because she's on SSI. It was her husband left her that car, and that was the only other option she had. So we all pitched in to help her as well as other people in a fund for people that really need the help. So there's an allotment of money there, and every time we take out of it, I disclose back to my subscribers how much is there and what was taken out and what it was used for. So they are kept on the complete, honest, board or line of exactly what that money is being used for.
That's way cool. Nick Witkowski says, "Hi guys, just now tuned in. I have a 15667. He puts in quotes, mechanic swears that I should change the oil every 3K. Seriously?
Yeah, that's a little soon for such a high capacity.
I would agree. Definitely would agree.
Most diesel guys that are maintaining, either over maintaining or maintaining at a pretty good interval, are somewhere between 5,000 and 7,500 miles. It's most of the guys that I see, and a lot of them don't want to go more than that just because they don't want to run into a situation down the road. So they over maintenance them. So a lot of guys can go 10,000 miles because of their capacity. I like to see guys between 5,000 and 7,000 miles that are running like 13-quart systems or above. It's a pretty good interval, but 3,000 miles, that's a little ridiculous.
Did they increase the capacity in 23?
Uh-huh.
Was it like a quarter or something?
You're at 15 now.
We were at 13 before.
Uh-huh.
You went up to 15 now.
But what were we really at before? Because remember, whenever you put 13, you would have to add some more. So
Yeah, I
like
guess.
14.
It all depends on how long you drained it too, though. I mean, I noticed that I can get some trucks where I drain them and they're right at 13, or other ones where if I walk away longer, or if they have like a toolbox or something in the bed and they're tilted back on the ramp some, or it's like a welder's truck that's heavier in the rear and the truck is kind of leaning more towards the rear. I'll get more oil out of those trucks that drain out a different way. Eventually, if I walk away, go get my oil, go get my filter and stuff like that, and by the time I come back, I actually get more oil out of those trucks. That's just residually sitting inside there. So just depends on how it was racked and how they drained it.
I find that if I drain my truck and let it sit, if I'm doing it at work, if I let it sit draining for like 3-4 hours while I'm doing other stuff, I forgot about it. Instead of me adding 13 quarts, I'll actually have to add 14.
Yeah.
Just because it did the extendo drain.
Yeah.
And when we're got customers waiting, I wait until it's done dribbling. I don't wait till it stops dripping. But I mean, I screw the plug in and I add 13 quarts, check it, boom, done. So I mean,
Every
you
car,
guys-
like half of my cars, when I change the oil, I'll pitch them at an angle, whatever side the drain plug's on. Because not only does it save me time, I'll rack it that way. I'll put an extra pad on the left side or the right side,
Oh, okay.
or in
I like
the
that.
front. That way, it picks it up that way, and it's still safe.
I like
And,
that.
it'll
It works though.
yeah, it works and it's faster. You don't have to sit there and wait for it.
Yep. Totally
Mhm.
works. I mean, and that's part of the, if you remember that there was a period there where whenever the first series of 2.7 liter EcoBoost F-150 started going out for maintenance, and they were going to a lot of the Jiffy Lubes and the quick oil changes and the 5-minute oil monkeys or whatever all this other stuff was called, grease monkey, oil change or quick lube place and all this. And they were coming in overfilled, and the customers were like, why is my vehicle smoking going down the road? And then, Ford kind of had that. It was either a bulletin or a service message or something that was put into the literature that whenever you service these engines, you got to start with the filter up top. You got to break the filter. You got to pull the cartridge up out of it or break the seal there, let it drain for a certain amount of time, and then drain the oil and let it sit. And there was a specified, Cody, wasn't it like, didn't the literature say that it needs to drain for like 15 to 20 minutes before finishing? There was a time that they gave you because people were not letting it drain properly with how that filter was mounted, and guys were overfilling them because they were not draining it properly.
I
I think it
think,
was 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Yeah. I always did the cartridge first anyway, since I was up top.
Right,
And that was just a habit for me anyway.
right. I would do that because it was right. You were right there in the bay anyway. Pop your socket on it, pull the filter up, set it over on my bench, take the cartridge out, set it over there. And then by the time I got done walking around, checking my lights, doing the wipers and everything else, looking at everything, you already had 50 minutes passed. And now you're just lifting it. So whatever residual was up in the top of that is already down in that pan anyway.
Bye,
You have-
Felicia. Bye, Felicia.
2020 F-350, 19,000 miles, goes in for recall on planetary set, says can't fix, needs new transmission a month later, and shop says back ordered to at least mid-June. I would wait and get that new trans. However, there is some escalation that I'm sure you could probably take advantage of. I would call the Customer Service Relations Center, CRC, and I would open up a case, and I would see if your truck is an emergency. What do you
They
call that,
need-
Cody?
Part VOR.
Yeah.
They also need to do a parts back order escalation
Mm-hmm.
and open a Copus case at the dealership.
And remember, if that truck is a business truck, it's always nice to emphasize when you're talking to people higher up that are listening that this is one of the main ways you make your money, and it's going to inhibit that from happening. Really emphasize that. And how much of a loyal Ford customer you are. Don't say I said that though.
And don't say the word lawyer.
Yeah,
Because
do not
they-
bring. They'll shut
that-
you down. They'll stop
They'll
talking to
shut
you
you down and you'll be screwed.
because that's not the way to go. Because a lot of guys will get upset with them, and then you've just basically taken away any means that they can help you. Because it's just, don't strong arm them. Tell them
Yeah.
how much. Go ahead.
Nobody makes friends by being a jerk.
Right.
Yep.
And these people at CRC really have actually went above and beyond for a lot of customers that I've worked with to really, really, really help them out whenever the dealers couldn't get the help. And Cody's one of the first people that turned me on to that whenever customers really do need the help to utilize that option. And a lot of the customers that I've worked with have used what Cody coached me on. And then I started using it, and they've gotten a lot of help through CRC, and they've made stuff happen. So don't be a jerk to them when you call them up and say some YouTubers told you to, be a butthead to them.
One specific
Be
YouTuber.
nice. Be nice to
That's all
them.
my
They're
Oh,
gonna
my
send
friend,
me.
she needed a transmission in her Escape. she's pretty upset about it because it was just out of warranty. I said, hey, look, call CRC. Tell them you love the vehicle, that you're a loyal Ford owner. Tell them what's going on, how much it's going to cost. Be very nice to them. And she did that. And about 2 days later, they actually covered part of her bill.
Yeah.
CRC is really nice. I mean, they will take care of you
Just
as
plead
long
your
as you're
case.
being nice to them.
Yeah. Just explain the situation. That's it.
Yeah. Hell, they were even trying to figure out anything that they could do for that town car that I had to put 5 alternators in. They were trying to at least help the guy, and the guy's like, man, I've tried everything. This thing is just way too old for me to even make exceptions for stuff. So they're nice. CRC is a good division of Ford, and they really will help you, but you got to be kind to them when you talk to them. Don't be a butthead.
How are the headlights gonna come out on the new Power Strokes? Looks like a massive pain. You are right, but that whole wiggle trim piece around it's gonna have to come out.
I mean, it's no different than a 17 to 22. You just have thinner spots that goes over the headlights.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a pain in the ass on the older trucks. I mean, it's easier than like the OBS trucks. Take the headlights out of those things suck.
Yeah, I got the newer Super Duty lights down pretty good to where it was the series of bolts across the top, and then down in the corner underneath the light, like the hidden one. And
Mhm.
then once you got those, you could pretty much grab the center of it and unsnap it, pull it right out of there, and the lights were exposed. I mean, we're never really that bad. Night, baby.
Night, Daddy.
Sleep well.
Sleep well.
See you in the morning.
See you in the morning. Are you going to work tomorrow?
I'm gonna try to work tomorrow. Okay. All right. Love you too.
Want me to go all the way?
Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Love you, baby.
You never have to apologize for kids.
She always gets
Yeah,
excited.
They
because
got the floor.
She sees me on here with you guys, and she wants to sit in here with me sometimes. I'm like, no, not with the stuff we say. It's not gonna be no.
Joel Stevens, are the rear parking sensors on a 17 problematic? Mine giving me intermittent error lights. No, they're not. Ford Boss had a really good video, and I made one as well. You can actually hear, even can pick it up on your phone. They click. I guess, what would you use? A stethoscope, or just go put your ear down by the park set 8 sensor, and you can hear it tick, 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 tick. I mean, your
Or
phone
like you
picks it up
said,
really well too.
You do your phone or go to Harbor Freight or jump on Amazon. Every one of you guys that are in the chat right now that work on these things, that are an owner of these trucks, that watch this channel every single week, if you don't have a stethoscope, a vehicle stethoscope, you are wrong. They're like literally dirt cheap on
$5.
Amazon. They're like $5.
Harbor Freight.
Get an automotive stethoscope, go on Amazon, go to Harbor Freight, whatever it is. Doesn't have to be an expensive one. When you start having proximity sensor issues, I did a video one time, and a lot of technicians didn't even know, like, nobody had ever showed them the way to do this. I was showed by an old school, like beyond, like, this guy's a world master, and it kept saying there was an error with a proximity sensor. And I put this cheap $10 stethoscope I had on, and I walked back there and I listened to each one of the sensors. I put it just real lightly right on the cover of it, not pushing in it like you're trying to poke a hole in it. But a lot of people are like, oh, doesn't it have to be on and reverse and stuff like that? I just literally had the vehicle just on. I didn't even have to have it in reverse. And I just went back there and I listened,
Tick, 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 tick,
listen,
tick, tick, tick.
and each one of them were tick, 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 tick. I got to the third one and it was nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. Let me unplug the connector. I unplugged the connector. There's no corrosion or anything there. It looks pretty good. I could do a bunch of testing and stuff right now, but there's no need for all that. I'm just going to pop the sensor out right next to it on the other side and plug it in right there and verify my wiring. Pop it in. It's the same connector. Put it back in there. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, okay. I got a bad sensor. 30, 40 bucks later, pop a new sensor in, clear your codes. You're like brand new again. It's like butter, baby. It's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a wooden dowel from Walmart. They have doctor stuff for cars. 21 F-257-3, 35,000 miles, and history included new long block due to
Aaron.
lifter failure. Yes, sir.
Before you move forward, while we're on the rear sensor thing, Aaron also has a video on the connections back there. Check the connections on both sides of the frame back there as well. That will also take out those sensors for the proximity if those sensors are not making
Good
good
point.
connections. So
Good
check the
point.
connections back there as well before. Don't just rule it out that it's a bad sensor. Actually unplug the connectors back there on the frame and look and make sure they're clean and there's no gunk going on inside there.
21 F-257-3, 35,000 miles, and history includes new long block due to lifter failure, 2 coil replacements, trans rebuild due to lurching, sticky solenoid. Starting to do it again. Keep the truck. Trans rebuild. You say because it was lurching, and then you have in parentheses sticky solenoid. Trans rebuild. They rebuilt the trans, replaced CDF clutch, and did some sticky solenoids, or you're saying you had your trans rebuilt and they
That's what the same
replaced
one.
some sticky solenoids.
A VIN number
Um,
would give us a lot more information.
Yes. Regardless, if there's something wrong with your trans and you wind up actually needing a trans, you have up to powertrain, which is going to be 60,000. Very nice truck. I'd keep it. But with that mileage on it, it'd probably be in your best interest to maybe get that extended service plan, the ESP, Ford's Premium Care. It's the best one. And every dealership sells these at different prices. So there's shopping around. There's like online calculator you can use. I think Flood Ford and Anderson Cook, Koch. Look those two up, and I'd keep the truck. And if you ever have a problem, you know that ESP would take care of it. Hi guys, first time diesel owner. Okay. Came to the right place. 23. What? Had it 3 weeks. Should I be using fuel additives every tank? Yes. Is so. Win and recommendations. Enjoying the channel. Thanks, Turkey Burnout. I would definitely be using fuel additives every single tank. Ford Boss, DS, Ray, we're always preaching fuel additives. That's something that's real big for these high pressure fuel systems, and especially the CP4s. We talk a lot about it.
Little disclaimer. We know that using the additives help us out a lot. We see way less failures with the additives in the fuel. Now, if you were to ask Ford, they would say not to do it. Now, I'm telling you right now, you take it upon yourself to make that choice. There's a bunch of guys on here with a lot of knowledge. Don't hold it against us in case some dealer in the future says, oh, we're going to audit your fuel and you got an additive in there. And now guess what? Your warranty's void. We see a lot of failures with people that don't run an additive. Again, a lot of failures with people that don't run an additive. You make the choice from there.
Now, when they audit the fuel, are they looking for just water and things like that, or are they going to audit? Or will they be able to even see an additive?
Ford's not going to audit the fuel. It's going to be the dealer that's going to do it.
It's going to be the dealer that tries to figure that out.
Ford doesn't give two rat's asses, honestly.
We're the middleman.
But
We're looking on that on behalf of Ford Motor Company.
in the manual, it says to not use any additives that are not specified by Ford while this vehicle is under warranty. We know that that's hogwash, that a lot of the additives actually help these things stay on the road longer with less failures. So,
Ray, what additive are you running?
Oh, I'm still using that ox juice. You guys remember that stuff?
No.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not using that crap. What was it called? Like Oxytane or whatever. Remember that?
oh yeah, well, I didn't even go back to using that stuff.
No. I got BG stuff that my BG guy brings me. I think it's called the 245.
Is it every tank or what?
Every tank, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mix it in my reserve tank and then I just pump fuel into that.
Can we get a hold of that stuff? As
But I got a
product?
CP3 pump, so it's not so hardcore that I stick to an additive. Like what Rich was saying, he's right about the CP4 guys. You know, the low quality fuel just eats those things alive.
Absolutely.
When they took all the sulfur out of the diesel, sulfur is a great
Yeah.
lubricant. They take all that off. It really damages the fuel system overall with lubricity because they're trying to protect the emission system. Well, I say get rid of the damn emission system, but we can't do that because we got people controlling us. So we got to play by their rules. Well, how do you circumvent their rules? You got to put an additive in the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about this new emissions on this truck. It's
I don't know how I feel about it.
it's a lot different.
Do you really feel that it's choking it down more than your 20?
I think that it is a little, but they added power, so it kind of balances out. Then again, it's hard to tell because the truck is so new. But I will say that it's way better at handling regions. My trips are a little bit short. I probably drive maybe like on the freeway. I'll go to the freeway and go like 8 or 9 miles to work every day and back. And then I'll drive whatever, just messing around. But it's never got any what do you call it, back pressure? It either goes to 5, 10, and back to 0. Whereas the other one would always be like 90% and you'd always turn it off, all the regenning and stuff. This one seems like it handles it way better. It doesn't need to hit 100% to do something. It's like 10%, then it goes to 0, 10% back to 0. So I don't know what they're doing different.
Tom has a 12 F350-6.7, 180K, wants to replace trans filter and fluid, but he's worried if he's going to have any issues after its first time since 50K. Oil is dark, everything is running and shifting fine, but worried solenoid pack. Drain and fill that puppy.
Drain and fill. If
I
it's
wouldn't be
still-
using no machine, nothing. Drain and fill that puppy.
Drop
What
the
I
filter.
would do is I would drop the pan, just drop what's in the pan, change the filter, put the
Yep.
pan back up, refill it, and send it.
Yep.
And then
Send it, baby.
about 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles down the road, just evacuate the pan only again, fill it back up, drive it some more. Get an idea on how she's shifting. If you want to do it one more time, 10, 15,000 miles down the road, you're good. But don't do it all at one shot.
Mm-hmm. Good points. Good points. The only thing that worries me, well, depending on where you are, but I have to think about it, is being in the Rust Belt and them tiny little 8 milli bolts breaking. So what I would do, the majority of all those bolts, except for the 4 up front and the 4 in the back, if it's a 4x4, because it's they go into the aluminum. All the ones on the outside go through the case, so you could actually spray some penetrant on the other side and have it wick down through the threads before you do this. So maybe do that like a week before, spray it like every night or something, and then go back through with a nice crisp 8 mil quarter drive hand tool and break them all loose, and then go back through with your electric and ratchet impact or whatever you're going to use. So,
And if they are all dry and look like they're all coked out, like the damn threads are just look like they got a line of blow on them. Go clean every one of them off
Yeah.
before you put them back in there.
I mean, hell, you could run a tap through it all.
Yeah.
Just to be safe.
You'll just save yourself in the future. Just what Eric said. Just
Yeah.
stop you from having any future problems.
It's
what that winds up,
a lot easier to clean threads when there's no bolt in the way.
what it winds up doing is just binds it up, and you won't tight. So you might have like a little pan leak, on that side because you thought the bolt was getting tight or it achieved its max torque because you were all gunked up on that that oxidation. Pink Taco Tuesday in the house. Yo, 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 yo. Are you saying yo, yo, or are you calling me a yo, yo? Are you saying yo, 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 yo? Just kidding. Tap on a breaker bar. So it's bad to use a machine at the dealer for trans fluid flush. Why does the dealer recommend wait to do a flush? I'm not saying that it is bad. I would rather not use a machine that's been hooked up to all these other vehicles. And if you're changing your trans fluid every 30,000, every 40,000, dropping the pan, changing the filter, I mean, I don't really see a need to flush it unless you had a failure and you got to flush the cooler lines, and
Yeah.
that's different.
You know what? A lot of
Real quick, let me weigh in because I do the exact opposite of that. Yeah, I got a BG trans exchange machine, and I just tap in. I open up one of the lines, connect to the radiator, and connect the other side of the machine to the line, and do a 16-quart positive displacement exchange like almost every time.
Really?
Yep. Unless the trans is junk or the fluid's like burnt or there's debris in it, like you can tell if the thing's just cooked, or if it's got codes, or if it has any kind of shifting problem, I won't touch it. But
does your machine have a filter on it?
No, it's got there's a single tank and then there's a diaphragm inside of that tank, and it is valved inside. There's two lines that connect to wherever you connect to the one of the transmission lines in the vehicle, and those are valved where they will only flow one direction, so they don't back flush each other, and you're pumping old stuff in. So regardless of how they're hooked up, it'll circulate in the proper direction. And one line is connected to the clean side of the tank, and the other side is connected to the dirty side of the tank. And so when your pump is pumping fluid through your cooler lines, it'll pump the old fluid right into the tank. And since it's just a diaphragm inside, as it displaces the space in that bladder, it'll push your new fluid that you filled into it right into the transmission. So you get almost a complete fluid exchange. It flows through the torque converter, it flows through the lines, changes everything outside of the pan because it's going through one of the cooler lines on the vehicle.
So that way, the way that Ray is talking about it is the best way to do like an actual flush. So when you say you're getting a flush, the way Ray is doing it is an actual, you're paying for a full flush with him. That's a flush. But let me specify this, and a lot of people don't think of it this way. There's no way with any machine that you'd ever be able to get 100% of the old oil out and 100% of new oil in. There's always going to be a slight mixture somewhere. The way Ray's doing it is the cleanest way on the positive displacement side. Now, the other option is using a machine like a BG flush machine. They go through the dipstick top, or they go through the drain plug on the side of the trans. The theory is that's not actually a flush because the thermostatic valve has to be open on the lines for like the 10R80s, the 10L80s, and all this for Chevy guys and all this other stuff. That the thermostatic valve has to open up. But if you get the vehicle up to complete operating temperature and you keep it there, that valve stays open. So it's called an operating temperature flush. And it's not as like we're Ray's doing it as a 90-95% flush. The way you would do it that way through the dipstick port is probably a 60 to 70% flush. You're not actually getting exactly what you're paying for with the dipstick type service. It's good, but it's not as good as the way Ray's doing it.
So Ray, when you're doing, you got the trans machine in front of you. Are you dumping the 16 quarts into the machine?
Yeah, it goes into the machine. There's like a funnel on it, a little valve there. Open the valve, and you open the bleeder valves on the side.
Always new fluid. That always new fluid on that
fluid
side.
going in, and the catch is when it's full, it actually holds about 15.2, 15.4 quarts. you open up the 2 bleeder valves that are connected to the internal valves, like they're almost like solenoid valves, but they're pressure actuated. You open up the bleeders on those, and as you're filling it, it'll flush all those valves out. That way you don't have metal shavings waiting in your machine to contaminate the next car. And so when those two hoses start pouring out a little bit of fluid, then you know it's full. The bladder inside of the tank is full. It can't take any more. Shut your valves off, close your funnel, and then you're good to connect and then do your service.
Okay. Friday. Okay. Chicken finger pub sub
All right.
and trans service.
All right.
Make it happen.
We'll do it. Transfer.
Make it happen.
My thought process on a trans service is when you think about an automatic transmission with all the fictors inside of it and disc, got all that material that just wears normally and it gets in the fluid. And it always, if you guys ever, I mean, obviously you guys have dropped pans, you see all that stuff just in the bottom of the pan, it's just stuck in there.
Mhm.
And that filter just gets loaded with that material. And eventually, if you go long enough, that filter is going to get overwhelmed, and either that little rubber seal, depending on what type of vehicle you have. With GM, you used to like stick that little neck up in there, and you had a seal that you could like,
Yeah.
like on that 4L60, and knock it
Mhm.
up in there, tap it. Sometimes that filter can get so overwhelmed that all of a sudden that seal's not sealing no more, and just sucking a little bit of air through that little rubber seal. So
Yeah.
me, it's always been drop the pan. Now the Fords have a different type of seal versus like the GM. I don't even know if GM's still using that seal.
I mean,
But
it's the same. It's a similar type of seal.
is it on
Maybe
the
it's not.
picture?
It's the same concept though.
Okay.
It's
But
the same concept.
I've seen trans issues where they never did anything with the filter and it's just so loaded and the seal blows out and it sucks air and the ship's all messed up as that air gets into the hydraulic circuit.
The main symptom to that, DS, the main symptom, that's for everybody on this channel. The main symptom for a filter that is loaded up is when you start the vehicle and it starts to warm up. Before it warms up, it seems like it goes into reverse fine and it's going into drive fine. As soon as it gets to operating temperature, if it feels like it just doesn't want to move anymore, it doesn't want to go into gear, drop the pan, pull the filter down. And I bet you find that thing completely plugged up. Everything's expanded, it's starving the pump of oil. I've had so many of them come in where they've been completely full, nobody maintaining them. Torque converter friction went out on it. And a lot of people don't realize that there's more than just frictions in a trans. You have material in the torque converter that needs to be in place as well so it can do its job. So you may pull a trans completely apart and find nothing wrong with anything inside that trans, but get to the torque converter and the friction that's inside the torque converter is completely shot. And that's what ends up in the rest of the transmission. So there's a number of ways that these can go bad here. And what DS is talking about, the number one symptom is that once it warms up, it won't shift and it doesn't feel like it wants to move or anything. It's just starving the pump and the transmission fluid.
Ray, so being that this is a BG setup, do you have to add like an additive? Like does BG give you like a trans flush additive, or are you just dumping straight fluid in?
I can do just fluid, or we can do an additive. There's like a cleaner,
A
kind of
service.
like
You're
you can
selling
do
to the customer.
you pour a cleaner in there, let it run 10-15 minutes at idle, and then perform your service, and then you pour an additive package in afterwards. You can do that. It's it's a couple cans, they're like $40, or you can not do it. Some people don't want any kind of additives or cleaners in their equipment. I've talked to people about it before. They go, oh no. I mean, I don't want anything except for engine oil or transmission fluid. I don't want anything else. Then there's some people that they like the idea of cleaners and they have no problem with it. It's kind of a personal preference thing. Although in my opinion, the cleaners do function well and they do their job. You can take samples and tell the difference, especially in transmissions. You pull the dipstick out, take a sample of the fluid, run cleaner in there, and then take a sample after the cleaners flowed through, and it's a lot darker. and a lot more opaque. I mean, you can tell it did something while it was flowing around through the system.
That BG stuff works.
Yep.
When it comes to these transmission fluids, I remember when I used to work on stuff, it was so particular that you had to get this exact fluid from the manufacturer, no deviating. Or nowadays, it's like Amsoil has a fluid, and it almost seems like you can go in any type of vehicle. How
Well, it's all made from the base oil stock, and then the difference between fluids is viscosity and additives, and they're all assigned a specification number. So, and again, going back to BG stuff, you can go on their website and you can look up the spec numbers for almost any branded fluid that you want to. You can look up something for a Mercedes or something for a Ford, Mercon 5. I mean, you know, a lot of that stuff is cross compatible because it's all built off of a base stock oil, and then they just have different additives that go into it.
If
You'd
your
be
truck takes ULV, do not mix it with anything else.
saying,
ULV is ULV.
You talk to guys like us that service vehicles every single day, and I use a lot of Valvoline Max Life, and a lot of other guys don't like Valvoline Max Life. I've put Valvoline Max Life transmission fluid in almost every single one of my vehicles. Never had a single problem with it. And it's worked very well for me. But you go talk to a diehard transmission guy that builds transmissions and stuff every day, and he'll look at me like I'm the dumbest person in the world for saying that I use Valvoline Max Life. Why? Because a lot of those guys that build these transmissions will tell you, you only use the freaking OEM fluid that comes in a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
They're diehard by that. If it's Mercon this, if it's ULV that, if it's, you know, some Chrysler or something, whatever, AT4, you use exactly that and nothing else. I don't know. I mean, I think those guys specialize in transmissions more than me. I would listen to them, but I've also done the opposite of what they've said, and I've never had a single failure. So what do you do?
I run the
Depends on the car.
Amsoil
I've had
ATF in mine.
Hmm?
I run the Amsoil ATF in mine, and it's supposed to be ULV. I have no
Yeah.
shifting problems at all.
Right.
I've had some
Alright.
issues with the GM transmissions in BMWs because they use a 4L and a 5L, 4 and 5 speed transmission in the early 2000s. And if you use what they call for, they shift great. And if you use a generic Euro fluid or even a generic trans fluid, they do not shift the same.
They don't like it.
They don't like it. Now, other cars, they don't care. I had like a Toyota Trans in an XJ, and I think it's an A343, and you could put water in there. It didn't care. As long as it was enough to build hydraulic pressure, it didn't care.
I learned
Yeah.
a trick. You know the MT82 manual transmission in the Mustang Rich?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a DCT fluid, dual clutch transmission fluid in there. So a lot of guys were getting like harsh shifts or third gear lockouts. So there was a couple of guys that came up with a concoction of the Amsoil fluid. They used the Amsoil DCT and the Amsoil constant mesh fluid, and they mixed them together and they put it in there. And apparently it shifts a whole lot better.
Wow.
Nobody's had any issues with it. I would have never thought to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that. I've had a bunch of BMW manual transmissions, and everybody use Redline or use Royal Purple, and then I go buy BMW MTL, the manual transmission fluid, and it shifts. It's like a different transmission.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
my truck likes to burn all of it, so.
I
It doesn't matter if it's Mercon 5 or ULV, it'll go out the tailpipe.
I mean, at the end of the day, every one of us sitting here right now could honestly say the safest, best thing to do when you're trying to pick fluids for your vehicle is to go with what the manufacturer specifies. That's it. Now we like to deviate outside that because we want better, because we know the manufacturer is not putting the best in our vehicle because they have to make money.
All right, so we just got a phone in. Robert Pennington says he's got 20 F350-67, has an engine light reduced power message, pulled off the highway, and it shut off on me, would not restart. sound familiar? If so, what could it be? He gives us the VIN. I just checked connected vehicle data, and it looks like at 418, he has currently how many miles on this puppy? 46,662. So about 4 miles ago, on May 14th, so it looks like it's been sitting. He got a P0087. Fuel
Ooh.
rail system pressure too low.
Tough break.
That's why it shut off. So that's not good. Hopefully you have been replacing your fuel filters.
This is not good.
That's not good. What I would probably instruct you to do is
Fuel
follow, get a fuel sample and maybe follow the removal of the intake manifold for 20. It's a breeze, it's no big deal. And maybe take out that metering valve and see if you got that Lisa Frank glitter paint. Because if you do, man, that's not gonna be good. You could always have it towed to Detroit, and I can absolutely take care of that for you.
He said this Lisa Frank glitter paint.
That's what it looks like, man.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just pull up that GSB so we can show him what he's in for and what he's looking for?
These are
The-
some of the things Cody's are going to show. Some of the things Cody is going to show you here on this GSB is two things that we have to look at for rust and to determining whether or not these are going to
Why
be
mine-
warranty or not.
Which is why mine got denied warranty.
Are we
The
ready?
fuel pump kit is like $6,000.
Here we go. So this is how we determine if your vehicle's going to be warranted or not. By following this.
That's
And-
what it's going to look like.
Every one of those spot where it has an eyeball, it's telling you to focus on that area and look. So
A single bit, a few bits of metal, okay. If it looks like this, it's screwed.
So Robert he just says, "Oh man, thanks, fellas. That's a warranty item?" Question mark.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But if it
We-
looks like
Oh my God, I saw
If it
something.
looks- if it
So right
looks
here,
like this
right
or
here,
this,
Pay attention right here where
Oh,
these
where-
arrows are.
Where'd that metal come from?
so you see
Something's
the
missing that metal.
one with the blue ring right
It's
there?
okay.
If you look at the one with the blue seal, right there in the center, they look at that and they want to see if that little piece of metal in the center has rust on it. And if it does, no warranty. You haven't been keeping up with your filter changes, and there's water that's got in it or contaminated or something to that extent. So they're going to deny it. If you look at this other one, isn't this the valve, the VCV that's on the actual rail? Aaron?
this one is on the rail.
Yeah,
This one is in the pump.
that's in the pump. The one that Cody's next to right there is in the rail. And if there's rust on either one of them, automatically done. There's going to be no warranty.
And it can only be specks of rust. It doesn't have to be like this. It can
If
be
there's-
only specks.
If there's any rust, it's done.
And like even look at this one. It's not that bad.
And they're gonna. I had one that was like that. It was lighter than that, and they said, "Nope, we're not covering it."
But if And like this, if you have rust on the thread side of the O-ring, it's all right because that's
Right.
that's
right,
out to the elements.
but the one that's like that blue one, it was a little lighter that I had right there. The guy had cost him $14,700 for us to do the high pressure fuel kit.
Ouch.
Because the
You know-
tanks,
Robert. Oh man, I just got eyelash in my eye.
what is it, Aaron? The tank's got to be dropped. The pump has to
Yep. Tank's gotta be dropped, and I've been doing it with Dawn Just Soap and Simple Green has been working really well.
tank's got to be cleaned out. Pump's got to be pulled down. The
There it is, right there.
all the lines got to be blown out.
Thanks,
ahead.
Wilbert. I would say you need to have the adaptive learn strategies reset and maybe have your TCM updated. I gotta let this little poochie woochie out. Come here, girl.
Oh, that's what you meant by that. You got it pulled up right there.
Come here,
Yep,
little
there's the
poochie
whole
woochie.
process right there.
So when we get these things, one of the first, so if Robert came into the shop and, you know, we went out to it and come on, Hazel, come on, and gave it, you know, an evaluation, saw, you know, went out to it, had these codes and knew that there's something obviously going on with the fuel system, we would say, hey, we need to do some tear down. We need to bring the truck in, take off the intake manifold, look at the volume control valve. Come on, girl, over here. Come on. And possibly take out the PCV in the driver's side rail. And we need to look for metal and those two pictures Cody was showing with rust. Rust can be only on one side of the sealing surface. If rust is on the other side, that is only from water ingestion, and that's not Ford's problem. That's from poor fuel filter maintenance, poor fuel quality, and there's nothing you're going to do about it.
Other than
That's-
calling in your insurance company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And while we're on the topic of CP4s, we can talk about that CPX. And no, it's not. Why would you buy another CP4 if you're going to change it?
It's still a CP4.
Yep. It's still
It's
still a
the
CP4.
design,
It's still a CP4 at heart.
which we're going to have that pretty much solved here coming up here on the end of June. SNS is still on track for the project DCR, and this is going to be a freaking direct replacement, drop in, no programming required, and is something that's going to take care of the problems of having, you know, that failure. So it's going to be exciting.
Yep.
I think a lot of people have been on the pre-order list at accuratediesel.com with Tim. If you guys want to get on that list, he's taking pre-orders. Two options if you know have the CP4 and want to, you know, do the disaster prevention kit. He's got those in plentiful supply. And then yeah, just like I said, we're waiting for SNS to drop the mother load, and then we were going to be following that with the install video for that said pump, which is going to be exciting to get that out for you guys. So
I can't wait to start installing these things.
one of the most factoriest installs that I think I've done by just looking as OEM as possible. Doggy doo doo.
So what is this process right here, Cody, that we're looking at?
That is how to flush your fuel system once it's contaminated with key running or engine started.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same for all of our trucks. Now, if the key wasn't started, say you put DEF or gas in the tank, this would be your thing if it was never put into the on position.
Zeekster. Whoa. Zeekster. July Zeekster. I'm looking at the 8th or the 22nd, baby. I'll let you pick, or all of August. Appreciate the time, fellas. Robert, anytime, that's what we do here. I want to at least get you set straight so you can have some ammo to go into the repair facility so that you're not going to be taken advantage of. I've heard all too much where you get these codes and they don't even tear it down. They just tell you, oh, you need a fuel system. I want to see the fuel sample. I want to see the VCV. I want to see the PCV. You saw what we just had to go through. This is the GSB. This is a Ford document that we have to compare and contrast. Your part, does that look like? Nope, I don't see rust on here. All right, so this must be a failed pump, must be warranty. So be smart, ask questions. If you don't know, now you know. And you'll be able to find any information here with our team on the channel. Try to shoot you guys where you need to go with the right information. So Zeekster, get at me. Cody, Ford boss, DS, I'll see you Saturday. Ford boss, we need you to rest, go get some sleep,
I
and
got a deck to build.
make sure to use your inhaler.
No.
Everybody, we appreciate you watching, all 129 of you guys. Thanks so much for spending your Wednesday night. We'll catch you on Friday. I'm excited. Got a new video dropping for y'all. Thanks so much. See you.